We researched 168 suburbs and found the top 8 most glutted neighborhoods in all of Dallas. We're talking street after street of new construction homes sitting vacant. Builders are in trouble, and that spells opportunity for you. Well, hello, I'm Wendy Pennell, and when buyers ask me, Wendy, how can I get the best prices on new construction? I always tell them the same thing. It all has to do with a builder's exposure. Once a new construction home is fully ready, the builder starts losing money. And that's just one home. What we like to see is builders with dozens of homes all sitting vacant, all representing money a builder needs to recover. When we see that exposure, that's when we start seeing motivated builders and incredible deals. First up, let's talk about Forney. Forney is located east of Dallas and is absolutely a massive new construction hub. Now, Forney has a population of 35,498 and a population density of like 2399. Now, to give you an idea of what that's like, one of your more popular suburbs, Plano, has a population density of about twice that. Basically, all 14.8 square miles of Forney are a little bit off the beaten path, but they're not what you would call like a country town. And with a growth rate of 14%, that population rate is going up every year. New construction homes in the entire city are staying on the market an average of 241 days. That's a long time, and definitely a number those builders are not happy about. Well, get ready for this bombshell though. Forney currently has 295 new construction homes for sale. Now you talk about inventory. And remember, when builders have too many inventory homes, they find themselves seriously overextended. They've raised supply higher than demand, and now they have to compromise on price. Our second place runner-up for the subdivision with the most inventory homes for sale is Briarwood Hills. Amenities in Briarwood include a pool with a splash pad and some very nice pavilions. They currently have 32 homes listed on the MLS, and 30 of them are owned by the same builder. All right, that's a lot of exposure. They've been accepting offers with prices as low as 92% of the list price, but their average acceptance rate is 97%. So not a huge slaughter fest, but there are definitely some good deals to be had. Now, both of our subdivisions here are in Forney ISD. Okay, so what can you expect in terms of schools? Well, the Texas Education Agency rated Forney ISD as a B, and greatschools.org states that 19% of the students score above average. Our absolute first place subdivision in terms of exposure is Devonshire. Now, one of the things parents really like about Devonshire is having a nice on-site elementary school. It also has plenty of amenities too. It has hike and bike trails, an amenity center, a pool, splash pad, oh goodness, plenty of pocket parks and even a cute little dog park. In terms of exposure though, Devonshire has 75 inventory homes on the market, 75 homes just sitting there vacant. Now, Devonshire has more builders than Briarwood Hills, so those 75 homes are divided among multiple builders. The great thing about that is you can play these builders off each other. You can go back and forth between these motivated builders to get the best possible deal you can. Among all those builders, we do have one that's more exposed than the others. This particular builder has 16 inventory homes sitting on the market, and they've been accepting offers as low as 73% of the list price. The interesting thing is you had several sales with lower offers accepted, but then you had a few who actually paid 103% of the list price. So definitely a wide extreme, and all the more reason, honestly, that you need to use a realtor who does the market research to make sure you don't overpay. Speaking of which, if we sound like your cup of joe, you're going to check out our Let's Find Home Questionnaire that you can find in the description section. If you're wondering if Forney is a good fit for you, the average sales price in Briarwood Hills is $356,000. In Devonshire, the average sales price is $361,000. In terms of a commute, you're looking at around a 30-minute drive to downtown Dallas. Now, you may have noticed both subdivisions, they're very close in price. And in fact, the city of Forney as a whole has a median sales price of $349,000. There are a few different ways you can look at this, okay? First off, if you like the idea of a lot of choices, you'll find them here. You'll find row after row of vacant new construction homes, and you can completely take your pick. I mean, consider things like, the floor plan, what direction the street faces, how big the yard is, whether the yard faces to green space. When you have a lot of inventory, you can be picky about things like that. Another thing to consider though, is that every home is worth roughly the same amount. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if you could buy a $350,000 house in a neighborhood where you're surrounded by $600,000 houses? Well, I think so. I mean, they're a little harder to find, but if you have the choice, like from an investment point of view, it's always more desirable to be the small house surrounded by nicer, more expensive ones. One other thing I wanted to mention that's important to know about Forney is the infrastructure isn't doing like a great job of keeping up with the rapid growth. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it just means traffic, crowded roads that aren't big enough, and lots of traffic. Next up from Forney, we're headed west and all the way north, where we're talking about the very popular Salina. And when I say very popular, I mean Salina has a growth rate of 34%. To give you a little perspective on that, less than 10 years ago in 2015, Salina's population was only 8,059. And today, in 2023, it's 43,081. I mean, seriously, this city is growing fast. Surprisingly though, the 27.9 square miles of Salina aren't all that crowded. With a population density of 1542, Salina is actually less densely populated than Forney. In Salina, new construction homes are staying on the market for an average of 155 days. There are currently 148 new construction homes for sale just in Salina. Our second place subdivision with the most quick move-in homes for sale in Salina is Light Farms. Now, Light Farms is absolutely huge. It has 1,070 acres, and homeowners here get to enjoy a bunch of cool stuff. All right, we're talking about an amenity center, super high-tech fitness spot, like 5 pools to splash around in. You also have basketball courts, volleyball, even tennis courts, and pickleball. If you're into green spaces and parks, it definitely has those. Plus it has a catch and release pond. Oh, and how about 132 acres of hiking and biking trails? Now, Light Farms currently has 16 homes listed on the MLS, 11 of which are being sold by the same builder. Our top oversupplied builder has been accepting offers as low as 94% of the list price, and their average acceptance rate is just 95%. Now let's talk about schools for a minute, because in Salina, it's a bit complicated. Salina is in 3 main school districts, okay? Salina ISD, McKinney, and Prosper. Now, only a very small amount of Salina is in McKinney ISD. About a third of Salina is in Prosper ISD, and the rest is in Salina ISD. Now, the ratings and desirability of these districts are hugely different, so you need to go in informed if you're considering Salina. Okay, so how do they compare? Well, the TEA gave Salina a B rating, and Great Schools reports that 25% of Salina students score above average. For McKinney, the TEA gave a B rating, and Great Schools reported the exact same thing, that 25% of students score above average. Now, Prosper ISD is your highest rated district, making that part of Salina also in the highest demand. Prosper is well known for its highly acclaimed schools. The TEA rating is an A, and Great Schools shows 56% of Prosper students score above average. Now, this is something you need to know. Light Farms has sections that are within Prosper ISD, and it also has sections within Salina ISD. Yeah, you heard me right. If your heart is set on the higher rated Prosper ISD, you need to be careful to ensure you end up on the Prosper ISD side of Light Farms. All right, now let's talk about our number 1 subdivision. When it comes to the most inventory homes for sale in Salina, we find it in the highly sought after Mustang Lakes. Now, Mustang Lakes currently has 17 homes listed on the MLS. The top oversupplied builder is selling 12 of those 17, and they're accepting offers as low as 80% of the list price. Now, believe it or not, you had a few buyers who paid way above the list price here. So in the same subdivision, within a 90-day period, you have one buyer paying just 80% of the list price and a few paying way higher than what it's listed for. Overall, your average accepted price by our builder here is 97%. When it comes to schools, Mustang Lakes is actually in the same boat as Light Farms. Mustang Lakes has sections that are within Prosper ISD, and it also has sections within Salina ISD. So again, you really want to pay attention and not just assume Mustang Lakes is all within your Prosper School District. If you're wondering if Salina is a good fit for you, basically what you're going to find is a city in transition. In fact, according to the Dallas Morning News, between 2022 and 2026, the Salina Economic Development Corps expects the population just within the city limits to go from around 30,000 to almost 54,000 residents. They go on to explain that at full build out, it's estimated that Salina will have a population of around 380,000. In some parts of Salina, you'll feel like you're in like a rural country town, right? There'll be these rolling cornfields, country roads, and then you'll turn the corner and you'll suddenly stumble upon like several giant sprawling subdivisions that feel more like Frisco. The perspective you need to have with Salina is that what you see is not what you keep. Okay, so loving a small town feel or country charm is not a good reason to move to Salina because it's not gonna stay that way. But if you're okay with a rapidly growing city, man, Salina is a great choice. So are Light Farms or Mustang Lakes a good fit for you and your family? Well, the average sales price in Light Farms is $606,000, whereas in Mustang Lakes, it's $1,079,000. In terms of a commute, Salina's not going to be a good fit if you're commuting to downtown Dallas. All right, you'd be talking about a commute time of like up to an hour in traffic. But that being said, Salina is only a 30-minute drive to Frisco, and a lot of people commute to Frisco. Okay, let's move on to our next new construction inventory hotspot. Let's talk about Haslet from Salina. That means heading west and then south, where we're going to land directly north of Fort Worth. Now, Haslet is going to be perfect if you're looking for a small town feel while not being too far from the city. It has a population of 3,319 people and around 8.7 square miles. Haslet's population density is only 380 people, okay? Compare that to the over 4,300 we talked about earlier in Plano, and you can imagine just how uncrowded Haslet is. But before you get the wrong idea, Haslet still has a growth rate of 18%, which means a lot of people are moving there. Homes are staying on the market for an average of 117 days, okay? And here's the real reason so many people are moving to Haslet. There are currently 310 new construction homes for sale in Haslet alone. All right, so talk about options. And you talk about overexposed builders. So let's take a look at those builders. Okay, the subdivision with the second most inventory homes for sale is North Star. Now, North Star has some really nice amenities. All right, they have an amenity center, event space, pools, splash pad, playground, soccer field. We've had a lot of buyers interested in this community, and it may be because there are just so many options there. Currently, North Star has 59 active listings, and our most exposed builder has 27, so almost half of them. They've been accepting offers as low as 95% of the list price, and the average price they've been accepting so far has been 97%. When it comes to schools, we're gonna find both of our subdivisions are within Northwest ISD. In the Dallas area as a whole, our biggest concentration of A-rated schools are generally on the north side in Collin County. Over on the west side, we don't find quite as highly rated schools, but Northwest ISD is one of them. The TEA rated Northwest with a B, and Great Schools shows 38% of the district's students scoring above average. Okay, moving on to our number one subdivision in the Haslet area. We're gonna find ourselves in Cibolo Hills. In just the one neighborhood, just Cibolo Hills, they have 53 active listings, 53 homes just sitting vacant, waiting for a buyer. I mean, that's a lot of exposure. And our builder has been accepting offers as low as 93% of the list price, with an average acceptance of 97%. Now, Cibolo Hills has some nice amenities such as a dog park, picnic tables, playground, it's got some trails, cabana, resort style pool. So is Haslet your new hometown? Okay, is it gonna be a good fit for you? Well, you have some affordable options here, definitely. Your average sales price in North Star is $425,000, and in Cibolo Hills, it's $394,000. When it comes to commute times, Haslet's only a 20-minute drive to downtown Fort Worth. Remember back when we discussed the median sales price of Forney being $349,000, and you'd rather not be above that? Well, in Haslet, we have a lot of affordable options like we did in Forney, but we have a higher median sales price of $448,000, and we have better rated schools. So if either suburb worked for you, like purely from like a strategic standpoint, Haslet has a better setup. Next up, we're going to venture all the way south and to the east, where we're going to find ourselves in Midlothian. Now, Midlothian may very well be the most popular city you've never heard of. It has a nice, good old country vibe, not too far from the city. Its population is 40,184. And its density is 633 per square mile. I mean, pretty quiet place and a lot bigger than Haslet too, with 63 square miles. Your growth rate in Midlothian is 4%, and it's offering a good bit of new construction homes as well. Midlothian currently has 195 new construction homes for sale, and they're staying on the market for an average of about 114 days. Now, what we're going to see in Midlothian is new construction so new that they don't have any sales for us to analyze. And I wanted to include Midlothian for that reason, because a lot of times we have buyers interested in communities that are that new. And even when we don't have hard data showing us what a builder's been accepting, we can still gain insight. In our two situations here, we have builders who are very exposed. They have a lot of inventory out there. When a builder is first starting in a community, they'll have some lots that they reserve for custom builds, but they'll also put out some inventory homes. And with those new builds, they won't be paid for another year. With inventory homes, they can turn a profit a lot quicker from contract to close. Now, consider this difference. You have a builder who's been in a community for a while. They've closed numerous inventory homes as well as custom builds. And maybe they have just a few homes left, right? You're far less likely in that situation to negotiate a solid discounted price. Now, on the other hand, let's say you have builders who have just started out, who haven't turned a profit and are putting out an enormous amount of capital. All right, you're likely to see a more motivated seller, and that's the scenario we have here in Midlothian. Our second place subdivision in Midlothian is the Villages of Walnut Grove. Now, Walnut Grove doesn't have much in the way of amenities, but it also doesn't have a mud or a pit. So you keep your costs lower here. They have 15 inventory homes currently on the MLS, and of those 15, 9 are being sold by the same builder. Now, like I mentioned, this builder is new on the scene, and they're dumping a lot of inventory out there, but they don't have any sales data for us to draw from. Even without sales data though, we know we have indicators of motivation here. All right, now let's talk about schools before we go any further, right? Because I know that's important to so many of you. The TEA gave Midlothian a B rating, and Great Schools shows that 8% of the students are scoring above average. Now, our subdivision in Midlothian with the most inventory homes for sale is Bridgewater. Bridgewater will have some cute amenities. All right, homeowners will enjoy hike and bike trails, an event lawn with grills, resort style pool, several playgrounds. They also have a future on-site elementary school. Well, Bridgewater currently has 43 homes listed on the MLS. And again, that's 43 homes just sitting there in one neighborhood. You have one builder who's carrying 15 of those listings, so we already know we have exposure there. Plus, we know this one builder is going to be competing against multiple other builders, right? Because there's 30 other homes all sitting there. So is Midlothian a good fit for you? Well, even though it doesn't have the best of school ratings, Midlothian is really popular. It has really low crime rates and a very cohesive community. It's a little bit like a later version of Salina, okay? You used to have all those rolling cornfields, but more and more, you're seeing those fields give way to like giant subdivisions. Now, you'll hear a lot of lamenting about that too. Midlothianites prefer the country vibe, and you will hear, some resentment over so many newcomers moving in. It's almost like they're bipolar, okay? They're like, don't move here, don't move here. But then like once you do move there, they're like super welcoming and friendly. Commute-wise, Midlothian is a 30-minute drive to both downtown Fort Worth and downtown Dallas. If driving to both is a big part of your life, like say if one of you commutes to Fort Worth and the other to Dallas, Midlothian is just a fantastic fit in that way. I mean, overall, you have nicer homes here. The average sales price in Villages of Walnut Grove is $522,000, and Bridgewater has a similar price range of $580,000. We can be strategic with new construction, even in cases like Midlothian where we have less information. Now then again, sometimes we have information practically screaming at us with price drops, and I made an entire video of those that you can watch right here. In the meantime, Wendy out.